Hi guys, Justin here again, and we are back for day 8 of my post a video every day for 30-day challenge. And yesterday we talked about my little wrist mobility circuit that I use to prepare for handstands or really push-ups, any sort of arm balance or any sort of planking where you'll have your hands flat on the ground. And I wanted to do a companion video to that to just talk about having an active hand, active forearm, and basically how we're going to load up that wrist when you go and do something like a handstand or something like that. Because a lot of people will get into arm balancing either from a yoga standpoint or they want to learn a handstand, that kind of stuff. But this applies to doing a push-up, crawling on the ground, anytime that you are pressing weight through a flat hand on the ground. And there are some key points that you can do to get the most out of that stuff. You'll have the most control and strength in your handstands, but also from a wrist longevity standpoint, there are some things that you can do to take care of your wrists a little bit better. So I'm going to try to hold the camera as best I can to show all of this. Okay, so like I said before, I've got my hand flat on the ground, active fingers. I'm not pulling them back and letting them tent up like this. I'm pressing, especially the middle joint of my middle finger, flat into the ground. And like I talked about in the last video and day 3, being especially good about pressing my index finger and my thumb into the ground. What that does is it keeps the weight running up through the inside of my wrist rather than the outside. So I'm going to put the camera back here so I can point to some things. All right, so your wrist is not really a perfect ball and socket joint like a shoulder or a hip. It really consists of 2 joints, right? So this internal one is more of a traditional bone to bone type of a joint. This outer one is not meant to be as load bearing. It's mostly fibrocartilage, which is strong, but not nearly as strong as a bone on bone joint. And basically the reason for that is it gives us greater articulation. It's why you can go further to the outside of your wrist than you can to the inside, right? So we love having that joint. It's why your wrist can do so many awesome things. But at the same time, when you do go off and load your wrist in something like a handstand or a push-up or a plank, you need to make sure that you keep the weight focused through this inside part of your wrist. So pressing this L into the ground is a great way to keep that loading pressing through the inside of your arm, right? So it almost feels like, I use the analogy of a suction cup, or like your forearm is a straw, where if you're drawing things up, almost like you're trying to lift your palm up without actually lifting it, you're just kind of drawing some energy up like this through your palm and out through your wrist. It really keeps these 2 fingers pressed into the ground, and it keeps your hand and forearm active, and it keeps everything standing upright like this. If we aren't actively pushing the ground away like that and keeping the L's pressed into the ground, your wrist can fall to the outside, and you'll see a lot of people in their push-ups, this part will lift off and they're pressing through the butt of their hand and through the outside of their hand, which is putting that load exactly through the wrong place on their wrist as we want to. Okay, so after you've gone off and done your little wrist flow that we did yesterday, and you're going to go attack something like an arm balance or a handstand or just a lot of push-ups or planking, make sure you've got nice active hands, keeping the load focused up through the inside like this. Okay? All right, that's day 8. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 9. Thanks a lot.